Okay, thank you, Rachel and Melissa, for taking time today to celebrate Second Chance Month by sharing your inspirational stories as returning citizens. We appreciate that FAILSAFE-ERA works to support those facing reentry, but in reality, today we're celebrating you and your resilience and how you have experienced your second chance. So thank you and welcome so much today.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Danae.
Thank you. And Rachel, can you talk a bit about the barriers you faced and overcame in your journey to and from incarceration, specifically related to substance abuse?
Sure. So with my substance abuse, I, of course, once I was incarcerated, I lost everything. I lost my house, my job, my kids, my cars, and, I lost everything. And, upon coming home, I had to really fight and be, work that much harder to get all of those things back. It took a lot, much more time than I had anticipated and, of course, had wanted. But I was able to not only regain all of those things back. I've got, we started with a house and then we got our kids and we've got cars, license. And now I'm actually a full-time student. Going to Liberty University for social work. That way I can use this journey that I've personally been on to inspire and help others after incarceration and let them see that, this is possible.
Wonderful. That's fantastic. Thank you so much for that. It takes so much courage for both of you to come here and share your stories today with all of us. So thank you again for that.
Thank you.
Melissa, we know that given the opportunity and support, we can overcome so much as human beings and we'll find a way to succeed. Can you talk to us about your goals through your experience and how you achieve them?
So I, like Rachel, found myself incarcerated and did, it was a whirlwind of getting there, right? So when I was finally released, making sure that I had a good home plan when I was released was of the utmost importance when I left, because I knew that if I went back to the same place that I left, that I would end up in the same place that I was. And so I created a different home plan for myself. And came out to supportive people in my life that I knew were either in recovery or did not weren't using substances. So that was the first goal in and of itself, was to get in a safe place when I got released. The next goal from there was to get a job, which there were barriers. I actually obtained employment from a company, and I did an interview in the newspaper for some things that why I had been incarcerated and speaking out against some injustices about things, and my employer fired me. And so from there, I was really discouraged, but continued to move forward, and I enrolled in college. And so while I was incarcerated, I had done some college work, but then I went to University of Mary Washington and got my bachelor's degree there in 2013. So that was another goal. I got my children back pretty immediately, so they were living with me, and then my next goal was I ended up getting married to a guy that is also in recovery, and from there I went to Nova Community College and got my certified substance abuse counselor license, because from a very young age, I felt like I needed to be helping people, and I kind of felt broken, and where am I going to go? And I felt like God was just like, this is where you need to go help people. And so after I obtained that, I started working for a company locally called FCCR, helping heroin addicts and opiate users. And they were taken over by a company called Pinnacle, and they offered me so because of my particular crime, when the bigger company took over, when Pinnacle took over, I could no longer work in a direct service position because the law doesn't allow me to do it. And so they were saying, well, you can't be a counselor because of your crime that you committed, 15 years ago. And so they gave me, they took a chance with me and gave me a job as a community engagement administrator for their company. And I've been working for them ever since. And so I make relationships in the community in order for people to be able to get treatment. And at the same time, I use that skill. I also volunteer at Zoe Freedom Center, which I lead a group there because they're a nonprofit, and I can lead groups there. So I give back to the community in that way, and every single step takes a goal, right? You got to be resilient and moving forward and looking forward, and also have the supports in place to be able to do that. Because if you don't have good support, you're not going to make it there. You're just not.
Well, and speaking of support, Melissa, too, you had mentioned that your husband was also in recovery. What have been the challenges regarding that, and the benefits of having two people in the same home that are both going through that experience?
I think it has been really beneficial. So it doesn't always, it's not always the best combination. Like when I counsel people, I'm like, I'd never say you shouldn't be with somebody, people have to come to that on their own. But when you have solid mentors, sponsors, other things in your life, and you start making healthy decisions, whether that's somebody else in recovery or not, you can kind of gauge where you should be. What I found for me is he's been a great support in those moments for me when I didn't think I could take another step. He was the encourager. And I have, when, we all have bad moments. We have people that die. We have feelings that come up over children and family and all of those things. And to be able, from my point of view, to be able to have my husband in my life, he was in recovery before I was ever released, and had a significant, about 3 years of time prior to us getting together. And that was just, besides the other people in my life, that was paramount for me, and is still paramount, to be able to have that support. So I know some people are like, well, don't, two addicts in the same house don't always work. Well, they might not, but when you're both on a healthy journey, and when you both have other people in your life that are healthy, that support you, and it's not just you two, working it out together, and you have other things, church, recovery people, all of those things, it can be very beneficial. It has in my life.
Thank you. And Rachel, can you tell us where you found your greatest sources of support through your journey in recovery?
Sure. So I'm sort of like Melissa in the fact that my husband and I are both in recovery. In fact, we have the same clean date. It was a choice we made together. So I agree with her. The people that I do help outside of, outside that because I run a support group on the side, I never suggest that relationship, just because sometimes, like she said, it works, sometimes it doesn't. But my husband has been one of my, biggest sources of, just being there this whole time. He's been my biggest encourager. He's really pushed me. But then I got around a group of women also that is going somewhere, and which was really important for me, because my husband and I, we moved away, people, places, and things. We didn't know anybody down here. And through the support group, I have made a tremendous amount of connections, resources. Failsafe has been a huge one. Pastor
Mhm.
Phyllis is my personal mentor.
Mhm.
Her and I, chat daily. She has been there for me since I came home in 2018. So, just getting around those women and then making other connections through them to other women. And I joke around with Juanita and Pastor Phyllis all the time that I'm hanging on to your coattails and I'm not letting go. So I'm coming with you. So those have really been my biggest sources of people being able to help us out. COVID has been a little hard, of course, for everybody, but for meetings and stuff. So the good thing is we did find online communities all over the world, really, where you can
Mhm.
get that help and reach out and go to meetings and continue to do those types of things. So.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, and also to sort of tag on to what you're saying, Melissa, you and Rachel both have expressed that you had a good support system and you have a good support system. But Melissa, what's your recommendation to folks who are along this path who do not have good support systems, maybe within their own household or their own family or friend circle?
Um, get connected with every agency that you can. First of all, make a good home plan. And even if you don't, when you get out, I mean, most people are on probation, go to your probation officer and say, I don't have these things and I need these things in order to be successful. A lot of people look at your probation officer as, oh, they're there to put me back in jail, but that's so not true. So many of them want you to succeed. I also was a part of Virginia Cares and did part of that program, and just getting involved. There's many churches that are willing to help you. There's sober living houses in which there's agencies that will sponsor you for a month until you can get a job, and then you're around people that are sober. Um, um, the biggest part is just reaching out and constantly reaching out, because there are going to be agencies. I know that we do have a gap in agencies in that area, but the more that you reach out, even if you're screaming at the top of your lungs to get what you need at each agency, somebody somewhere is going to help you get to the place that you need. And there are housing agencies and food and clothing, and they're out there. It's just a matter of meeting the right person. I think on our end, we should do a better job of putting them all in together for one place for people. But just constantly reaching out until you get your needs met is the most important thing. And keep the eye on, whatever your goal is, because you can be more than what your number says you were.
Beautifully stated. So you've both spoken to fighting through and really achieving these goals for yourselves and advocating for yourself. So through all of that, through that journey of fighting and clawing for yourself and reestablishing yourself, what Rachel, unexpected wins did you see? Maybe help from an unexpected source or growth or learning experience? What were you surprised by in your journey, or have you been surprised by?
If I have to choose just one.
No, I know you. Let's know all the good stuff.
So, I've had really a ton of surprises. Like, I did not expect I had an agency when I first came home here in Richmond. They were able to really help because we had no way to visit our daughter at the time because we didn't have custody of her. And so they actually drove us and took us for visitation, would sit there with us when it was supervised. And because of that, we were able to continue to see our daughter regularly. And then eventually that led to us, regaining full custody of her. So that was one of the big things. And then just all of this stuff that I have been going and speaking out. I mean, I went to the General Assembly and spoke about, getting help with some of the laws that we have that would really benefit people who have been incarcerated. My husband and I started our own suitcase project, handing out clothing to women. FAILSAFE sort of took me under their wing with all of this and really want to help me obtain my own nonprofit. So that was huge. Just and then going to college, like I didn't ever think I would be able to go to college. I was in the military, and the whole reason I joined the military was for school, and I never went because drugs just overtook my life for so long that by the time I was actually ready, my benefits had expired. So and just having the ability to go and doing it with 4 kids, and being home, being on the dean's list after 20 years of not going to school. I mean, I surprise myself daily. I know I make my children proud. I make my husband proud. And just knowing the support that I have now, all the people that are rooting for us, for myself, and me having this pride in myself that all of these are big surprises. And I mean, I couldn't be happier. Just doing this, making that choice to finally change my life and do better and be better.
You certainly have accomplished a lot, Rachel. That is very impressive. Very impressive. A lot of us would like to accomplish so much, not having the other opportunities that we've had in our life that you've had as well for growth. And I think that's amazing. And thank you so much for sharing that. Melissa, what about you? Can you talk to us a little bit about things you learned about yourself and just little unexpected things that happened that really surprised you in a great way?
There's lots of things like Rachel as well. I have had people believe in me when I didn't think that they would believe in me. So I never knew that my story could touch so many other lives. And so for a long time, I was ashamed of that. So the one thing that I have overcome and has been a really unexpected win is the ability to get past that shame. My ability to create an identity and create a life that I never thought that I would have before. Never. I had goals, but I never thought that I would be where I am now. And who knows, before, not just being able to take care of myself, which I had the inability to do, but with the help of agency after agency, and with the help of family and friends and mentors and the help of my church. One of the biggest wins is I've earned my children's, respect back, which is a huge win. Being able to stay gainfully employed, right, and have an employer trust in you to give you that chance to be able to grow. And I've been with the company that I'm with now, I've been with them for 7 or 8 years. So taking a chance, people being able to take a chance on me has been huge for me. And then giving back. I didn't realize how important giving back was until I started doing it. And it's made a huge difference in my life, giving back to the people that are in the same situation that I was in just 10 years ago. Those are some wins for me.
Well, you made us all emotional when you.
I'm sorry.
It was a beautiful segue to, I think, a really important anchoring piece. I know that you both are sharing your journey with your children, and I know that there are probably some things you would like them to learn, and I think you alluded to this. But even for those who aren't who are not obviously part of your life, for anyone who's listening out there, what Rachel, and then I will ask the same question of Melissa, what is one piece of advice you'd like to wrap up with today for someone who is earlier in their journey, or maybe hasn't even gotten into that part of the journey yet and maybe at risk? What would you tell them?
So really, I mean, I have two things that I would tell them. I would tell them to have hope, and that is hang on, pain ends. That eventually all of this, that they will get through it, and that everything that they lost or losing, all of that can be regained and then some. Because I know personally for me, when I started into this, I didn't have any hope at all. I didn't think anybody was gonna, be there for me, support me. I didn't even think that I could make it 3 days, let alone now 3 years. So I would just tell people that I promise you it's worth it. You can do this. Hang on. Everything's going to be okay.
Wise words. Thank you so much. Melissa, the same for you. What one piece of advice would you have for someone?
Your past doesn't define your destiny. I mean, I know that sounds like a cliche, but it's the truth. And the other thing is substance abuse, incarceration, all of that is generational. And when you're coming out and you're thinking about, what is my next step, that next step may just be getting through that hour or that day, but also thinking about, as you break the curse it has been your life, you can also be the catalyst that can break that curse for your children.
Again, beautifully stated. Thank you both so much. Again, we just really appreciate you and Rachel and Melissa coming out here today to join us to talk about your experience and really showing your strength and resilience through your life and doing so to inspire others. We appreciate you and thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Danielle. And Rachel.
Thank you to you too, Melissa and Danielle. I appreciate it. It was good meeting you.
Thank you.